Sorry about the little delay there. I wanted to talk a little bit about the vagus nerve today. So, there's just been a lot of stress, obviously, with all of the current events, not just everything that's erupted in the last few days with all the protests and the spotlight that's been shown on the racism in our country, but we're just in a pressure cooker in general. There's so much going on. And a lot of times our nervous system can really respond to a lot of the stress in a difficult way. And there's ways in our yoga practice for us to get healthier and be able to tolerate a lot of stress states and bring ourselves back to a softer, more relaxed place from there. So the vagus nerve is what I want to talk about. If you've not, I think all of you have heard of the vagus nerve. I've taught about it before, but it's one of the biggest nerves in our body. It's vagus means the wanderer, and it's our 10th cranial nerve. So it's the only cranial nerve that leaves the cranium and goes into our body. And most of its fibers are parasympathetic in nature. So if you're not sure what that means, the two parts of your nervous system you have, well, there's a lot of parts of your nervous system, but the autonomic nervous system has a parasympathetic and sympathetic side. And the parasympathetic is the rest and digest, where we're in a softer state of ease. And the sympathetic side is where we're get up and go. And that can turn into a stress state very easily. It's the running away from danger. It's the fighting danger, the fight or flight. So the vagus nerve is very involved in the balanced state of the parasympathetic and sympathetic nerve highway. Most of the fibers of the vagus nerve travel from the gut to the brain, instead of, about 80% of the fibers travel from gut to brain, and we also have some that travel from brain to gut. But it's not just your gut. The vagus nerve, you have three main branches of the vagus nerve. One is above your collarbones, and it innervates. It has to do with your hearing and your facial expressions. And then the one below it is right below the collarbones, but above the diaphragm, the supradiaphragmatic branch. And this helps innervate and control our heart rate and our breathing. And then the subdiaphragmatic branches of the vagus nerve control a lot of our digestion and urinary function, reproductive functions. All of the nerve is involved in a lot of aspects of your body. So it's a really important nerve to keep healthy and adaptable, resilient. So, the supraclavicular branch of it is really important for us as humans. And I think it's really being affected by the mask wearing that we're doing. We don't have the capacity to really fully see people's facial expressions when we are passing them by. And we cue a lot of our social dynamics in relation to facial expressions, as well as hearing, which the vagus nerve has a lot to do with. When the sympathetic fibers of the vagus nerve are activated, we hear sounds that are really high pitched and really low. And this can be like screaming, screeching, and earth rumbling. So danger sounds, we get very highly attuned to through the vagus nerve when that sympathetic branch is activated. And then when our voices become softer and smoother and in that, calmer middle range zone, think about a soothing voice that you have when you're talking with someone you love, or you're soothing a child. The branch, now our parasympathetic parts of our vagus nerve are starting to take over, and it's a cue that we can relax, that there isn't danger around. So the vagus nerve is very involved in analyzing danger, no danger, danger, no danger. And we do this subconsciously all the time. And so in order for our vagus nerve, so let me just say one more thing. There's three branches, I said, but the most primitive branch of our vagus nerve is the even most extreme. So fight or flight is that, the branch that controls our breathing and our heart rate, and it allows us to get away or fight. But the lower branch, the lowest, most primal branch of the vagus nerve, is when we play dead. So it's that like fight, flight, freeze, or fake, or fawn. That freeze or fake that we do when we really feel threatened, when we really feel like we don't have control over anything. This is the branch of our vagus nerve that really kicks in. And if we are going to mobilize up the ladder, the polyvagal ladder, if you've heard that term before, of rising up to the branch that really controls our social cueing, that we're safe, we need to have a lot of adaptability where we can move through the branches of the vagus nerve easily and quickly, so that when we get a fright, we can come back to the safe and social really quickly, or maybe not get to the point where we are immobilized by fear. And this really plays a part in what's happening in our world right now. How are you responding to the peaceful protests and also the rioting that's been happening? Do you tend to get immobilized, or are you mobilized? Do you feel like, no, I got to get involved in this, I want to act? Or you're like, there's nothing I can do, I feel hopeless, and I'm going to curl up into a little ball. And so we want to be able to activate up that ladder to get back to the social state where we are connected with one another and feeling healthy and good, so that we have response, we can respond. So the ways to keep the vagus nerve, one of the ways you can tell if the vagus nerve is in a healthy state is by heart rate variability. So this just means that your heart rate, every time you take a breath, your sympathetic system rises a little bit on your inhale and falls a little bit on your exhale. Your parasympathetic rises on your exhale. So you have sympathetic, parasympathetic, sympathetic, fight or flight, rest and digest, fight or flight, rest and digest. And that happens every breath we take. And the wider we can make that gap, so when your heart rate goes up on your inhale and then goes down on your exhale, the gap that we find, if you measure the gap between the heart rate on your inhale and exhale, this is called your heart rate variability. And you can measure it. I have an app on my phone now. I measure it every morning. And it's an interesting way to see where your baseline heart rate variability is. It's a very clear indicator of a lot of health within you, resiliency within you, anti-inflammation. There's a lot of things that comes with it. And there's some yogic tools that we can do to help us create a high level of heart rate variability, so that we have this big wave with our breath instead of just a small, shallow wave in our breath. So we're going to do some of that today with our breathing, and help us kind of enhance our vagal tone, so that we can climb the ladder of moving through emotional states easily and come back to that place of feeling very safe and social and connected and trusting, which is really where we want to be, right? So I know that's a lot of information. So if you just let me know if you have questions. Always feel free to ask. I feel like sometimes I just throw a lot of information out and then you're like, wait, what? So we'll practice a little bit with it today, but if you have questions, let me know. So let's forget about your vagus nerve for the moment. Let's forget about your heart rate variability. Let's forget about the protests and riots. Let's kind of put all that on the back burner and just come in and start to understand the state of your emotional state. How are you today? Did you rest well last night? Are you feeling connected? Are you feeling safe and social and having bonds where you feel that ease that comes from a very steady parasympathetic system? Or are you more in a fight or flight? Are you more in a state of stress in response to what's happening in your life? So just take a moment to notice, where are you? How are you? Let your eyes begin to close. Start to rest the muscles in your face, relaxing your jaw. Relax the shoulders away from the ears. Just notice even a little bit of becoming aware of the breath, becoming aware of consciously relaxing little parts of the body. Is it having an impact already on your ability to heighten your parasympathetic nervous system, that place where you're able to find ease? Move a little lower into your lungs and your diaphragm. Let the breath come deeply and fully. And see if you can drop even lower, so that subdiaphragmatic branch, can you melt the diaphragm? Can you drop into the deep low belly? Can you drop all the way down to the pelvic floor? Finding a sense of ground, stability, and ease. Just for a moment, visualize that you have this very special nerve, two of them really, they start in two branches on either side, that travels down out of your head and wanders through your chest, innervating your heart, innervating a lot of parts of the muscles that allow you to breathe, innervating a lot of your organs, in your belly, in your pelvis. Let's just make way, make room for such an important part of us. And let's also know that our instincts, our intuition, the vagus nerve listens. This is the gut feeling that you get, the gut instinct. This is the vagus nerve listening to the body's cues around safety, around danger, the subtleties around that, not just the extremes around that, but the subtleties around that. So let's just give our gut brain, our second brain, a chance to be the leader, to feed our mind information so that we can respond from our instincts, not just from our thinking mind. Let's place your hands together at your heart and bow in. Just offer what is it that you need to feel safe and social? I know the social part's hard right now, but what is it in your body that you can do some shifting with to allow ease and comfort, steadiness, to start taking the heightened stance over the stress states? Let's go ahead and release the hands, and let's come onto our back. Okay. So as you find your way onto the floor, just notice how good it feels to just lie down. And just take a moment to spread your arms and legs apart, away from the midline. And this is a sign of safety too, just allowing yourself to spread out and take up space. So let the cue of taking up space, let that teach the brain all is well, all is safe, all is okay. To feed the information back, let's imagine today that our brains are in our guts instead of in our head. That kind of starfish centralized brain in the center of our body. And let's start to move from it. So take a deep breath, expand from the center out to your limbs, and then exhale and draw in. And let's do this a few times. Open things up, expand outward, exhale, knees into your chest, chin up. Couple more times. Open the breath. Exhale all your air out. This next time when we do it, we're going to pause and squeeze a little bit. So stretch your arms and legs. Squeeze everything you can squeeze in the back body, in the front body, in your face, in your feet, everything in between. And then exhale and bring your knees into your chest. Pick up your head. Take another breath here. And as you exhale this time, squeeze all your air out. Just squeeze, squeeze, And relax your head back down onto the ground. Okay, so bring your right knee into your chest, your left leg long on the floor. Find some good squeeze in the hip joint. Bring your knee close to your chest. Let's roll around our ankles and open up our feet. If you haven't been barefoot today, let's just take advantage to widen the bottom of the feet. There's so many nerve endings in your feet as well that kind of teach us where we are in space. So let's just enjoy waking some of those up. And then switch sides. Left knee into the chest, right leg long on the floor. And let's wiggle around and sway our feet. Open things up. Enjoy what the feeling feels like in your shins and your calves. And then one more time. This time, keep your arms and legs close in instead of away from the midline. And stretch the right side. Stretch the left side. Just enjoy the opening through the ribs of your body. If you feel like you need to yawn, go ahead and yawn. All right, and then bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, sway. Rocking can also be a very soothing imprint in the body to help the nervous system calm. Just going back and forth across your sacrum. And circle the knees a little bit while you're at it. And circle your knees the other way a little bit. And then feet wide on the floor to the edges of the mat. Start to drop your knees left. Stretch your right arm up overhead and just go back and forth between your two sides. Opening the side bodies a little bit more as your knees drop left. Right arm stretches as your knees drop right. Left arm stretches. All right, and then bring your knees back into your chest. Roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. So the hands are underneath the shoulders, the knees are underneath the hips, and let's start moving through some cat-cows here. Okay, so just start to move the spine. Notice where the spine likes to move, maybe where you're a little tight and don't have as much movement. Just let things open up. Feel the back of your body open up. Feel the front of your body open up. Just find what you're finding. And after a couple of rounds of breathing in some cat-cows, perhaps you want to move your body differently. Perhaps you want to do some circles through your pelvis. Maybe you want to sway from side to side and, kind of roll your hips over to one side, roll your hips over to the other side. Whatever feels good. Try not to think too much. Let the body be the leader. Mind is the follower. The breath is right there with the body leading. Okay. All right, stretch your feet, curl your toes under, stretch back to a version of child's pose with your feet curled under. See if you can touch your big toes, touch your inner ankles. And you may not go very far, but just let the bottom of your feet open. And then relax your feet. Maybe you can tap them on the floor if that feels good. Let's find our twist. Inhale, right arm lifting to the sky. Exhale and slide that shoulder down, coming to a twist here. Remember to melt the eyes and the jaw. See if you can keep things soft. The femur bones are moving back. Take a deep breath into whatever you're sensing in your shoulders, in the back ribs. How is your diaphragm moving here? And then inhale and reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place that hand down onto the ground and change sides. Lift that arm up. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Gaze toward the floor. Have a little bit of an impetus with pushing the hand into the ground so that you can deepen the twist as much as you want. Make sure the breath is guiding the twist, not the pressure of the hand on the floor. Let the femur bones draw back a little bit. Even a teeny bit of an inner spiral in your thighs can be helpful. And then inhale and reach that arm all the way up to the sky again. Place the hand down onto the ground. Stretch back to child's pose. If you can, let your forehead rest on something. So if you don't make it to the floor, maybe grab a block and feel the cueing. When our forehead is resting on something, this is another cue to the parasympathetic nervous system that all is well. Everything is safe. So let's just enjoy the feeling of safety. Relax your jaw, melt your tongue, start to release some of the tension through the pathways of the vagus nerve that are above your collarbones. Feel the inner ears broaden and relax. And let's walk our hands over to the left side of the mat, opening the right rib cage, and feel this invigoration. This is part of the sympathetic nervous system kicking in. And it doesn't have to be for fight or flight. The sympathetic nervous system is really good for us. It's our get up and go. It's our, hike up that mountain. It's the get the job done. We need this. We like this. So let's open the rib cage up and see if you can find that sweet balance where the sympathetic nervous system is not on overdrive, just regular drive. Okay, let's walk the hands over the other way. Drop down, weight your pelvis, open the rib cage, melt the jaw, the eyes, the ears, the base of the skull. And then come back to center. Come back up onto all fours. Anything you want to do, any little movements in the spine, and then eventually find your way into dog pose. So take your time here to pedal out your feet, to bend and sway a knee and hip, to bounce or pulse your feet on the floor. Experiment what feels good in your body today. So one of the main ways that we can start stimulating this heart rate variability is elongating our exhales. It's so good for the body to soothe the parasympathetic, heighten the parasympathetic system. We need to have long, steady exhales. So let's just focus on that through our practice. Start here, start now, where there's melting happening in the face and jaw. There's a deep breath in to stimulate us, and there's a long, steady exhale that follows. Enjoy the rib cage. Enjoy all the room you have for breath. Inner spiral of the thighs, sit bones widen, the feet are spread, the hands are spread. And then walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Try to keep those long exhales as best as you can. Keep melting the forehead, bobble things around. So, in a pose like this, when you are folding, it can be soft. So wag your tail, roll your shoulders around. See what your neck feels like. Loosen things up. Deep inhale, long exhale. Let's find a halfway lift on your next breath in. Lengthening the spine, sit bones lift and widen, legs are straight. Exhale and melt back down. Okay, so when you do this, try not to hyperextend your knees. Your knees can have just a slight little micro bend in them, and then melt yourself back to the floor. Let's do that one more time. Long spine, thigh bones back. Exhale and release. And melt. Push off your feet. Rise up. Maybe you want to round up or press up, whatever feels good in your spine. Reach the arms to the sky. If you're ever dizzy, tuck your chin. Press your hands against each other. Maybe even cross one thigh over the other and squeeze your thighs. All these things will lift your blood pressure up if you tend to get dizzy when you stand. Inhale, reach your arms back up to the sky. Lean back a little bit. Cactus, open your arms if it's comfortable. If your shoulders don't like that, find a pathway that they do like. Just feeling the stretch across your chest. And then exhale and round in. Reach your arms up. Grab onto the left wrist with the right hand. Feel the extension through the side of the body. Root into the feet. The knees are soft. The inner spiral of your thighs is happening. Extend and open. And then come back to the other side. Reach onto the wrist. Try not to tug at the shoulder. Find the rib cage. Make the epicenter of the stretch start at the rib cage. Up to the hand, rib cage down to the heel. Deep breaths here. And then Let's come back. Open the chest one more time. Hug the shoulder blades toward each other. Give those rhomboids a little bit of a squeeze. And then relax your arms down. We're gonna be working with chest opening today, which is a really big piece to help tone the vagus nerve. So let's just do some preparation work here. So we're going to, have our hands facing up, palms facing up, and we're just gonna move our hands out to the side. So I've described this as holding platters before. This is a great way to stimulate the back edge of your rotator cuff. Let's just get things alive in the back of our body. Spread across the collarbone, shoulders are down. Open up your hands like you have two precious things sitting in your palms that you're showing somebody behind you. Are you breathing? Are you yielding? All right, and then let's stretch our arms straight out. Just have a teeny bit of nerve glides here. I'll get a little closer so you can see. So just first start by flipping the palms open and then turning the palms down. You can even, when you do this, your hands can be in line with your shoulders. You can even bring your hands back behind your shoulders, just starting to open across the chest, across the nerves in your arms. And then relax that down. Reach your arms to the sky and bring your arms out one more time. This time our palms are going to turn and press walls, imaginary walls on either side. While you're here, let's drop your ears one and then the other. Go slow, don't go fast. If you have very big nervy feeling, that's kind of what I'm looking for, but don't overdo it. Some nerve glides for the three main nerves in your arms, okay? Inhale, reach the arms up. Big circles here, so a few times. Scoop all the way down, bend your knees. One more time. Open the chest. And then close, chin toward your chest. The last little nerve flag we'll do, I'm going to show you close so you can see. Pinch your index finger and your thumbs together. Take your elbows out to the side. And we're going to flip our palms up, pinkies pull down. And then release and relax that back. Elbows wide, chest broad, pinkies pull down, palms up toward the sky, and then back around. Just one more time. Open that ulnar nerve, and then relax. Okay, shrug your shoulders. Take a deep breath, melt, fold in half, let things relax, maybe even grab your elbows. Just allow some softness to come down, some big opening in the arms. Inhale for a halfway lift. Lengthen through your spine. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet. Rise up, reaching the arms to the sky. Finding your breath. Open things up. Exhale. Release your hands behind your back. Open across your chest. Bend your knees. Arms come wherever they want to come. So they can come far away from the spine. Maybe they stay close to the spine. Dangle your head a little bit. And let's release the hands down onto the ground. Grab your blocks. Okay. Your right foot is forward. Your left foot's going to come back. Come into a lunge. Finding your breath. Chest stretches forward. All right, and then once you're here, just enjoy the openness across the hip flexors of that back leg. Breathe while you're here. And let's start moving. Squaring the hips. Chin tucks down. Inhale, come forward, bend your knee. Maybe you want to exhale there. Wherever you're breathing, it's all good. Just keep breathing. Don't forget about the little chin tuck. This will do a lot to open up the back body. All right, and then the next time we get to this pose, let's put our knee down onto the ground. Unwind your foot, so uncurl your toes if you're comfortable. Lay your foot flat on the ground. Just allow this to be a little bit of a release. Notice the difference. Curl your toes under. There's a little more stability for some people with the toes curled under. Just see if you're comfortable enough with your foot laying flat. Okay, rise up, and if you find that you're not, if your knee bothers you, curl your toes under. Ignore me, okay? But just find your way. Feel the midline hug into the inner thighs so you have the stability through your legs. Front heel and back knee hugging toward each other. Feel your support. Lift out of that support. Yield into the ground and then lift out. So yield and push. Inhale, arms coming up. Find the breath. Maybe you lean back a little bit, maybe you don't. Make sure your core is supporting your lumbar spine. Deep breaths here. And then relax your hands back down onto the blocks. Take your blocks off to the side. 2 hands onto the ground, plank pose. And so here's your chance to feel stability. Let's take some deep breaths here, long exhales. Let's not forget about those long exhales that we're trying to cultivate. Give your long exhales a chance to teach your core, like, oh, here's where I do my job. Here's where I hold on and stabilize. All right, let's put our knees down and slowly lower ourselves to the floor. Gentle cobra pose. Keep the back of the neck long. Legs stretch. Rise up, spread open the collarbones. Exhale and come back down. Pick up your feet. Windshield wiper your knees left and right a little bit. And let's do a very gentle cobra pose one more time. Open the chest. This is just a warm-up back bend. It's not an extreme back bend. And then come up onto all fours. Okay, so experiment. What kind of movements are going to make your spine feel good? Do you want to do some circles? Do you want to do some cat-cows? Eventually find your way to dog pose. Spread out your feet, spread out your hands, inner spiral the thighs, support your hands toward each other, feel the integrity in your torso, not just in the outer shoulders. Deep inhales, long exhales. Melt all those supraclavicular branches of the vagus nerve. Melt the jaw, melt the eyes, melt the cheeks, melt the throat. Find a sense of ease across the inner walls of your throat. The vagus nerve passes right along your esophagus. So just see what it feels like to melt there. When you're ready, we're going to bring our left foot forward, come into a lunge on this side, hands on your blocks. How's your breath? Keep lengthening your exhale as you move through this. Squaring the hips, tucking the chin, legs straighten a bit. They don't have to go all the way straight. What do you love about being in your body right now? What's feeling good? Embodiment is such a beautiful thing. So let's try to seek out pleasure. You know, what feels good in your body right now? Of course, you could probably find things that don't feel very good too. But try to, you know, sometimes focus on what feels right, what feels good. All right, let's go ahead and come into a lunge. Let's place the back knee down onto the ground. Uncurl your toes if you can, if it's comfortable to do so. Find the full line. So, you know, when we curl our toes under, it's good. It's stable. That's a nice thing. I want you to just see what it feels like to feel the whole front line of that leg open, including the feet. Rise up. Find the support. So even though we're opening through our psoas and our quads and even our shin a little bit, can you still feel that there's a little counter flex in there so that you're flex stretching to give you some support? Reach the arms upward, and that just means your heel and your knee move toward each other. That'll activate your psoas and your quads on that back leg a little bit so you're not falling in the pose. Reach and extend upward, find your breath. Put your arms where you want them. Maybe you don't want them up here. Maybe they're better behind you or at your hands at your hips. You can open your chest no matter what your arms are doing. And then let's go ahead and release and relax that. Walk your back foot forward, come into Uttanasana. Fold a little bit, wobble around, breathe. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, long exhales, long, steady exhale. Push off your feet, rise up, deep breath. Exhale, hands to your heart. Pause here for a moment. Just come into that state of yielding. Find the inhale and then find the exhale. exhale is where the parasympathetic nervous system rises. So let's find that nice wave of heart rate up, heart rate down, every breath. All right, we're going to put our hands on our thighs. Come like a chair. You can always stick a block between your thighs if that makes you feel more stable. We're going to just do some lion's breath while we're here. So typically this is done, kneeling on our shins, but we're gonna do it here instead. So look at my shoulders. See how I'm kind of locked up here? Let's try not to do this. Have some softness where your shoulders are relaxed. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, I'll explain it. I can't do it and explain it at the same time. You're gonna stick your tongue out down toward your chin, and you're gonna look up toward the sky, okay, so on your exhales, and make some noise. Now you guys better do it because I'll feel really embarrassed if I'm the only one doing this. So take a deep breath in. Ah, make some noise. Stick your tongue out and look up. Ah. And one more time. Enjoy the feeling of opening up your jaw, your throat. This is a really good stretch for all the stuff happening in your throat. And then let's go ahead and stand up straight and tall. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bend your knees with the block if you want. You can keep it there. Fold in half, long exhales. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Let's find chair pose again. Block or no block, you decide. Arms go wherever you want them to be. So they can be at your heart, they can be back. You can do your little platters here or just stretch your arms back, out and up, anything that feels right in your body. Stretch open across your chest. Let your collarbones broaden no matter what you're doing with your arms. Find that little bit of chest opening, whether your arms are helping that process or not. Enjoy the femur bone, get some weight, get some blood flow into your thighs, let things burn a little bit. See if you can stay with that. Knees back toward the pelvis, weight into the heels. Deep, long exhales. Are you liking one foot more than the other? Find balance if you can. Let's go ahead and come on up. Block can stay if you want it. Fold in half. Step back to a plank. If you're using the block, you got to kind of either jump back or wobble back, whichever way you're going. Head finds stability. Deep breaths in. Deep breaths away. All right, let's go ahead and put our knees down. Get the block out if you're using the block. Move it out of there. Come to lie down on your back. Bring your hands out to the sides. Elbows are in line with your shoulders or possibly lower if your body needs that. You decide. Take a deep breath in. We're going to lift up our chest. Hug the shoulder blades toward each other on the back. Activate those rhomboid muscles between your shoulder blades. Come back down. We're going to repeat this a few times. I want you to make sure your core is staying active through the process. Okay, so breathe your way here. Do you like to inhale on your way up and exhale on your way down, or vice versa? Shoulders are away from the ears. Hug the rhomboids toward each other. Try to keep the hands in line with the elbows. Down you go. Just activating a lot of muscles in the back of your chest. Make sure your belly's not falling into the floor. Lots of core integration. Let's do one more. The back of the neck stays long. The legs are strong. And then release. That's a lot of work for the back. Pick up the feet. Sway from side to side. Find your way up onto all fours. Perhaps a couple of circles with your hips, perhaps turning from side to side, perhaps child's pose. Everybody's a little different with what their backs need after back bends. So just find something that's going to help you find neutralization and ease. Once you're ready, find dog pose. Much bigger pose. Spread out the hands. Feel the muscles along your shoulder blades now. Can you feel the invigoration of that back body work? Find your breath here. Deep breath in.
Deep breath away. Right leg lifts high toward the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. Hug it in, all your breath out. Long breath out. Inhale, bring it back. This time we get to bring the foot forward, come into a lunge. Back knee is off the ground now. You can choose either to stay in crescent lunge with the hips real square, or if you want to put your heel down, you can do that too. Find your breath, reach and lift yourself up. If you can look up, great. If your back feels not good enough, don't do it. Find your core stability. Open your chest, put your arms in a new place, wherever you want them to be. Maybe find a little nerve glide here. Do you have that stretch feeling? Reaching the arms back up to the sky. Place the hands down onto the ground. Walk your back foot forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Step back to dog pose. Lift the left leg up in the air. Hips are square. Deep breath in. Engage your glutes. Feel the strength of your back body, your front body. Exhale. Long exhale. Knee to nose. Inhale. Bring it back. Exhale. Bring your foot forward. Find a lunge. You can always take steps to get there. You don't have to do it in one full swoop. Rise up. Back heel can be down or up. Find your pose. Open through the hip flexors. Maybe your arms need to do something different than being up overhead. Find what's feeling healthy and safe for your body. No matter what you're doing with your arms, lengthen through your spine and broaden across your collarbones. Feel the muscles of your shoulder blades in the back of your body working for you. Great. And then as we come down, this time we're going to walk our back foot forward. Come up to stand. Reach your arms to the sky or not. Chair pose. So remember, arms get to go wherever you want. If you tend to like one leg more than the other, just see what you can do to find balance between the two. You can always put a block between your thighs if you need to. Deep breaths here. If you're able to move your arms well, follow me. Exhale, lower your body down, arms back. Hug the shoulder blades, triceps higher than the back. Inhale, rise up, chair pose. Exhale, back again. Feel the muscles along your back. Inhale, rise up. This time up onto your tippy toes. Find your way up. Exhale, heels down. Arms back. One more time. Onto your tippy toes. And then heels down. Chair pose, wherever you want to go. Put your arms in a happy place. Open your chest. Weight into the heels. Keep the exhale steady and smooth. Rise all the way up. Arms to the sky or not. Come down. Step back to dog pose. Enjoy the length of you. Melt along your esophagus again. Feel that ease through your throat, your jaw, your tongue. Dog pose is a great opportunity. There's a lot of strength here, of course, but there's also an opportunity for melting, to feel the long exhales, to get the balance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic system. Find your breath, lift your right leg up in the air. Exhale and bring that foot through to a lunge. This time we're going to come up onto into gear one, so the back heel comes down, lift yourself up, bring your hands to your hips for a moment. Find the opening through the hip flexors, find your breath, lunge deeply. We're gonna bring our arms back behind us, so lower your torso down, triceps higher than your spine a little bit. Now this can make you pop your ribs out, so pull your ribs back in, find the integration of front and back body. Leap up onto your right foot and stretch through your spine. How are your long exhales in balance? Are your shoulders rolling forward? Can you reach them back? Deep breaths in and away. What might it feel like to interlace your fingers behind your back? Integrate the ribs, stretch your shoulders away from your ears, stretch into your back foot. Keep your hands interlaced, heel back down. Open yourself up into Vera One with your arms like so. Find your breath. Bow forward to the inside edge of your knee and lift your arms wherever they want to go for humble warrior. Try not to stick yourself out to the right. Find the center line. And then unwind your arms, hands down onto the ground, step back to a plank. Deep breaths here. Enjoy symmetry. Enjoy your exhales. Integrate your core. Let's put our knees down onto the ground. You get to choose arms back or arms out in front or arms out to the side. Arms can be wherever you want them to be. I'm going to choose to bring them out, thumbs up toward the sky. My arms are a little wider than my shoulders. Perhaps you'd rather be in line. If your arms are behind you, palms down. Activate the muscles along your spine. Let's do this cross laterally and then we'll do it together. So right arm and left leg lifts. Exhale and lower that back down. Change sides. Lower it back down. Everything coming on up. Are your exhales long? Breathe deeply here. Feel the fullness of the back bend. Full back body. Open chest. Shoulder blades are moving down. Back body's working for the pose. Release. Maybe you want to windshield wiper your knees. Maybe you don't. Maybe you'd rather come up onto all fours right away. Find any neutralizing way to be. Circles, cat-cows, child's pose, whatever feels right to you. Eventually finding your way to dog pose. Deep breaths in and out. Let's lift that left leg up in the air. Exhale and bring your foot forward. Plant the back heel down. Bring the arms up if you want them to be. Bring them down if you want them to be. Hands can be on the hips. Start however feels best in your body. Big open chest. Lead with the open chest. Come forward. Arms are back. Palms are facing down. Engage the triceps. Engage the rhomboids. Engage the core. Ribs hide into the body just a little bit. You don't want to like tuck so much where you lose the neutral curve of the spine, but integrate front and back. Start to find your weight onto that foot. Hop up. Reach the arms back behind you. Engage all your muscles in your legs. Interlace the weird way with your hands behind your back. If you can't do that, just keep your arms at your sides. Lift the heads of the arm bones. Triceps are engaged. Rhomboids are engaged. Engage your core to balance this. Stretch crown and tail. Deep breaths. When you're ready, a giant step back. Virabhadrasana 1. Keep the arms like this if you can. Open the chest, spread open the collarbones, and then find your way into humble warrior. So the torso tucks closer to the inner knee. Relax the head down. The arms go away from the spine wherever they go. Keep moving the heads of the arm bones away from the ground. The rhomboids hug toward each other. That means your shoulder blades move toward the spine and the core is engaged. Feel your feet stabilize you. Are your exhales long? All right. And then relax that. Walk your back foot forward. Unwind your arms. Halfway lift. And then melt. Grab onto your elbows. Find some ease. Deep breath in. Long exhale out. Halfway lift. Exhale and release. Take your feet wide. Let's just open up our hips a little bit. We haven't done any external rotation. So elbows inside your knees, palms together if you can manage it. Open the chest. Just feel a squat. Spread open your feet. Let those nerves in the bottom of your feet tell you where you are. And then release the hands, hips up, heel toe your feet in. Let's come down onto our knees. Just sit in Virasana, sit on your heels for a moment if you're comfortable. If not, you can grab a block. Sit on the block, between your feet. And let's just take a moment to breathe here. Just have a couple more chest opening things to do to get ourselves broad for some breathing work we're going to do. Just let the legs have a little squeeze, long, steady exhales. Maybe you'd like to do another lion's breath, kind of stretch open the tongue and the inner walls of the throat, stimulating the vagus nerve. So some of the other things you can do to stimulate your vagus nerve are laughing, chanting, singing, gargling. When you brush your teeth, if you gargle, every time you brush your teeth, if you spend 30 seconds gargling, it's very stimulating for the vagus nerve, creates a lot of good vagal tone. We're going to do one more thing here. So if you're not comfortable, change position. You can sit cross-legged. This is called Bhramari breath, bee buzzing breath. There's a few different ways you can do it. For simplicity's sake, we're just going to take our index fingers. Don't do it yet so you can hear me. We're going to close off the little flaps over our ears. So we're going to close our ear flaps, our earlids, instead of our eyelids, our earlids, with our fingers. You're going to breathe in through your nose, and as you exhale, hum, like the sound of a bee buzzing. It's bee buzzing breath. Every inhale is through the nose. Long exhales through your bee buzzing sound. All right, let's release that and just know, do you like that or do you hate that? You know, does it sound too loud in your ears? Deep inhale. Long exhale. Okay, so come on to your back. We'll do this actively and then we'll do a back bend passively. So coming into bridge pose, heels close in to your sit bones. You don't have to interlace your hands underneath you. You can, but don't do that if it rounds your shoulder. If you take your arms underneath you and it rounds your shoulders like this, way better for you to have your arms flat with your palms up. So you find whatever's going to open your chest. So remember all those nerve glides. Maybe if your arms are down, stretch your hands. Make sure the back of your neck is gentle on the floor, not compressed into the ground. You don't want your neck pushing into the ground. Nice neutral curve in your neck. Take some deep breaths. Enjoy the Jalandhara Bandha, the throat bind. Feel the sense of compression along your vagus nerves on the sides of your throat. Deep inhales, long exhales. Imagine all three of those branches. You have some compression in the supraclavicular branch of your vagus nerve in your throat and in your jaw. You have some expansion in your super diaphragmatic branch, where your chest and lungs are. Breathe into the open space. Fill yourself up. And then feel the branch below your diaphragm, all the organs in your belly, all the way down to your pelvic floor, innervated by this beautiful nerve. Activate your legs. Make sure you're coming at it from a place of strength, not pushing. And then let's go ahead and relax to come out. Rest your shoulders wherever you want them to be. Take a deep breath. Now we're going to do the same pose or a different one. You get to choose. You can either put the block underneath your pelvis for we're not going to stay here long, for a little bit of a supported bridge, or perhaps you'd rather put the block underneath your chest and roll your head back. This is wonderful if you're comfortable doing it to open up the throat, give some space to the vagus nerve. in your throat. So you choose any arm position. If you're doing the block under your chest with your head back, you can always put a little support underneath your head if you need it. Deep, full breaths in and out. Stretch out the exhale. Expand the chest. Breathe deeply. All right. So as we find, all right, maybe you're like, nope, I'm going to stay here, which is all good. This is the joy of doing yoga at your house. You can do whatever you want. But if you're real happy and you just want to stay, stay. But if you're ready to come out of either of those two poses, get the block out of there or roll over onto your side. And as we're going to do this, normally I have you do this sitting up, but I'm going to give you a choice. You can either sit for this, we're going to have a couple of minutes of some breath work, or you can come into Shavasana and do it lying down. So you choose. Typically it's done sitting up, but I want you to have autonomy in your body for what feels best to you right now. Okay. So if you are sitting, support yourself. Okay. And as you get comfortable, notice if you're feeling the work of your upper body opening a little bit. And it's very, very simple. I'm not going to do, well, maybe I'll do the counting. I'll do the counting. So all you got to do is longer exhales than inhales. There's lots of ways to make this fancy, where you can pause at the end of the exhale, which will increase your heart rate variability even more. But for today, we're just going to focus on stretching the exhales out. So I'm changing my mind. I'm not going to count for you. Everybody's different. So I want you to count inside your own head. Find whatever pace you're counting, whatever number you get to on a natural inhale. Try to add 2 more counts for the exhale. So it doesn't have to be extreme. You don't have to like double the length of your exhale. But for instance, if you count to 4 on the inhale, count to 6 on the exhale with the same metronome pace of breathing. If you count to 5 on your inhale, count to 7 on your exhale. Just see what it feels like to add an extra 2. Close your eyes. If you're sitting up, make sure your posture is good and you're comfortable. The chest is broad. If you're on the ground, use the support of the floor to create that broadness. Try not to overwhelm yourself. All pranayama, easy techniques and fancy techniques alike, can be too much. Sometimes we can push and force. And the trick to pranayama is to allow. We're trying to set the table for the breath to come visit us. We don't want to guard and grasp and grope the breath. We want it to be a natural flow. What are you doing to make the exhale a little longer? Do you feel like you're banking the rivers of your throat a little bit? Do you feel like you're creating that little bit of restriction through your vocal cords to let the exhale out? This is one of your diaphragms of your body. You can tell if you're doing too much, if you have to gasp for your next inhale. Can you relax while you're doing this? Can your jaw soften, your ears inside your ears, your face, your eyes, your cheekbones, all the ways you express facial expressions in large part. It's not just the vagus nerve. There's lots. You have 9 other cranial nerves, but it's one of your cranial nerves that really helps to impact our expressions. So try to relax your expressions at the moment. Let everything melt. And just focus on the exhales, lengthening 2 counts more.
This will stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. If you took class on Monday and talked about riding the wave, working with anger, and being able to pause and breathe and stop and feel and watch and allow what's happening within you, this is partly because our parasympathetic nervous system is calmed down enough to receive that input, to stay with the input. And then we're responsive enough in our vagus nerve that we can respond with our sympathetic system if we need to. So we're not stuck in any state. We're flowing through states. We're able to move and adapt and be versatile and resilient. After your next exhale, let's come onto the ground if you're not already there. And any little bit of movement that you need before Shavasana. As you come onto your back, do you want support? And remember, when the body's spread out a little bit, this is a cue that we're safe. So feel free to spread your legs a little bit, to melt your thighs, to drop your hips, to feel your arms reach out away from your center a little bit. Maybe that doesn't feel safe to you. Maybe safety means closer into you. So just experiment with what feels right. Come into the breath. And most importantly, stay with the exhales. Long, nothing has to be controlled, but just linger in your exhales. Enjoy them. Melt the whole body down. As you're ready, let's begin to deepen our breathing. Long, steady exhales again. Start to move as you're ready. Let your breath come deeply. Find your way onto your side. Come up to sit when you're ready. And just pause for a moment and notice your aliveness. Breathe into your body. Let your exhales soften you, ease you. As you're ready, bring your palms together at your heart and bow in. Offer your practice outward. Share your energy. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.